As we celebrate 10 years today, I would like to give you a few activities that we'll be doing over the course of the year. Between 23rd and 25th of June, we will be having a big program, Alumni Homecoming, where we are bringing our alumni back to Ghana in an amazing program, and we'll be telling the stories of the impact our alumni are making across Africa and all over the world. Graduating our current students, both the regular masters and the MMST will be graduating on 25th, and so this graduation at 10 will be different. The second highlight, what we consider to be one of our main events, is a public lecture in honor of Professor Alote, the founding patron of AIMS, and also the first president of AIMS Ghana, on the 9th of August. 9th of August is Professor Alote's birthday, and we are continuing to advocate, Honorable Minister, that this date should be made a National Day of Mathematics. So on the 9th of August, we will have a public lecture given by a distinguished professor, Joycelyn Bell-Barnell from Oxford, who will be giving the public lecture. She also knew Professor Alote and did some work which is related to what Professor Alote did. Neil Turok will also be talking about the future of AIMS, and he will also be here. There are a number of workshops, scientific activities that we have outlined, and you can get more information on our website as we progress. I would like to express my profound gratitude to the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Education for their support and for their funding. All our programs at AIMS is free, but someone pays for it. I would like to share a couple of stories. So when we started in 2012, I happened to be the first academic manager who was hired to start AIMS. A couple of years down the line, we saw some students from Liberia, war-torn Liberia. There are no maths teachers in Liberia. Some students came from refugee camps in Sudan. Now, these students are now heads of departments in Liberia, and they are making an impact. Some of the students from Sudan are now leading cutting-edge research on COVID-19. They had to be given the opportunity. Someone had to be given the opportunity, and someone had to pay for it. And I appreciate the government of Ghana for their funding, the Canadian government through the IDRC. I normally get emotional when I talk about stories of AIMS. I'm sure we'll watch a short video in the middle of the program so you can hear more of some of the stories of our alumni. The MasterCard Foundation, the German government through the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. I would like to also thank Google and Facebook who funded our AMI program, the Machine Intelligence program, and also the support of all our partner universities, both in Ghana and across the world. Thank you for coming to celebrate with us, and I hope you have a great ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Say, for your address. When I think of when I was growing up, actually, one of the things I used to think about mathematicians were that they lived a boring life. Most of you perhaps have had the chance to think like I did in the past. I was a general arts student with an elective math option. But then for the core science students, you'd always see them looking so serious, like all the time. And you'd wonder if they actually had a life, sometimes. But working at Ames has really transformed my mind, like my perception about mathematicians. I've had a chance to go ziplining with some amazing, brilliant math professors. I've had the chance to, go for parties. And I remember when we were at Biriwa, after the end of the block, there's always a party, there's always a jam. And that was lovely. And I think that we still do have that tradition at Ames. So in the spirit of celebration, we're not just celebrating math and how it applies to solving the challenges we have, but we're also celebrating the people, the stories behind the numbers. What we do at Ames is a systems work. We're not just, raising people to become mathematicians, but we're raising people to apply their critical thinking skills to the problems that we face in our society. And I'm very excited that we would get the chance to watch some of the stories today. But before we do that, it is important for us to also celebrate the International Day of Mathematics. And in order to do that, we're going to take a message from Mr. Diallo, who's the country head, UNESCO office in Ghana. So with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again, yeah.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Mahache. Good morning. So happy International Day of Mathematics to all of us. Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Tim Forger, dear President of Ames Ghana, Dr. Prince Korey Jose, dear CEO of Ames, Mrs. Adelaide Asante, dear Ama Serwatete, Secretary General of National Commission of UNESCO, a distinguished guest, representative of the universities, the representative of the partners, dear students, dear friends of the media, I'm very, very happy to be with you today to commemorate the International Day of Mathematics and the launch of the 10th anniversary of Ames Ghana. Actually, I was thinking we're all the more happy to be all together because remember, the first edition happened at the time we were invited to stay at home. I remember actually that celebration. I went to the university. I didn't know the activity was cancelled. The Saturday morning, I called Prince. I said, "Oh, I'm here." Nobody. He said, "Oh, lockdown." So we are very happy to be back together. It's a real pleasure to see and interact face to face. 3 years after, it's the third edition of this International Day. Ladies and gentlemen, Mathematics is everywhere. Mathematics is a big part of everyone's life. Maths unites us in all aspects of our daily lives. Beginning with the day we are born, we are assigned a birthday that has mathematical variables. The number of hours in a day, transportation. For example, when we fill up our cars with fuels, the numbers of tires, etc., the patterns and shapes we see in nature and infrastructure around us, the climate and weather, such as a temperature when cooking a meal, communication when using your phone, radio frequencies, and how we use money daily. There's nothing that does not have a numerical, constant, geometrical shape, a pattern or sequence, etc. As a result, we must recognize the significance of mathematics, which is why today is set aside each year to celebrate it. Mathematics is essential for achieving the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It is an important part of education because it empowers people and opens up new job opportunities. We use mathematics to design electoral systems that better represent the will of the people. Math is used extensively in science and technology, such as for data analysis, modeling and projection, to understand and mitigate risks and disaster, artificial intelligence, robotics, search engines, and so on. To mark the occasion, UNESCO has released a Mathematics for Action toolkit to support science-based decision-making and provide interesting research on the many ways in which mathematics is addressing the world's most pressing challenges. It's worth noting that AIMS was part of the consortium of expert organizations that produced this toolkit. And I encourage everyone to go through the toolkit while using maths to help address the societal issues in the countries. Furthermore, we must foster a love of mathematics because it's essential to our survival. So, happy International Mathematics Day to all of you again. Let me salute you on behalf of the Director General of UNESCO, Madame Audrey Azoulay. And I'm very happy to see that the message, the official message of the message is captured in this leaflet. And we will send and share with the Director General a sample of this brochure. So congratulations and thank you again, AIMS, Minister of Education, and all partners for this celebration. UNESCO wishes to congratulate AIMS Ghana on 10 years of mathematical excellence. Ayeku, congratulations on your anniversary. Félicitations. We are honored to have you as a Category 2 Center of Excellence in Ghana. A decade of developing African capacity and providing advanced training and research in mathematical sciences is a significant accomplishment that should be recognized. UNESCO is very proud of AIMS Ghana and will continue to support you. We cannot be but proud when we've just heard from Prince's presentation and all the records AIMS has. And we cannot but be proud and happy when we see such young leader managing and harnessing the potential of these youth that are here with us. We cannot be but proud but we cannot but be also confident. But confident, yes. Next Einstein, he can be African. next ancient can be, not can be, will be African, you can say, will be, inshallah. And in the documentary was say a woman. Yes, it is possible, yes, and we can do it. And as Prince was witnessing on the stories, yes, we have to give the opportunities, we have to give the hand, because you're not less clever, less intelligent than none other around the world. You just need a hand, just a hand, to provide you opportunity. So this is why the government of Ghana is doing. This is what the regional AIMS platform is doing. But this is why we need partnership, we need support. And you mentioned the partners, Canada, MasterCard Foundation, and others. And we should encourage more African indigenous support. We have private companies in Africa. We have a lot of countries that can support and sponsor these studies, this research. So AIMS, we wish you continued scientific success in the years ahead. Stay assured of UNESCO, your natural partner availability, readiness, and passions to continue to work with you. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce everyone to UNESCO's recommendation on science and scientific researchers, abbreviated RSSR, in its global recommendation approved by the member states of UNESCO in 2017. And all member states ratified this recommendation, the RSSR, for scientific researchers, which is an important standard-setting instrument that clearly defines the goals and value systems by which science operates. The recommendation is divided into 10 areas that promote a fair and appropriate status for scientific researchers, and also informs national science, technology, and innovation policies to ensure that societies should use knowledge from all scientific fields responsibly. For example, the RSSR emphasized the importance for ensuring scientists' human rights and academic freedom, as well as providing them with adequate financial and institutional support. It also underlines the value of society, ensuring inclusivity and diversity in science and scientific research, as well as the importance of open access and free circulation of scientific data. We are inviting and tasking AIMS Ghana to spearhead the communication and advocacy of this recommendation within the Institute and across the AIMS network to ensure that the RSSR is implemented and monitored within the organization. We also encourage all students and researchers to understand their rights as outlined, to be able to advocate for these rights to be granted for their well-being, growth, and success in science. I would like to end first by thanking again the government of Ghana and the mobilization of the Ministry of Education and the presence of the Deputy Minister. He was with us earlier in the morning. We opened a workshop on e-distance education, supporting Ghana and the region in e-distance. He's with us again. So thank you for the mobilization. Thank you for the leadership. Wish to thank the Secretary General of National Commission also for their infatigable presence and commitment to spearhead and share the values and objectives of the organization. And let me welcome our brother, Dr. Michael from UCC IEPA, who is the new third category 2 center of Ghana in planning. Welcome. So just to thank really the contribution of Ghana to the overall objective of the organization. I wish all of us a wonderful International Day of Mathematics and the radiant launch of the 10th anniversary of AIMS Ghana. Be assured, Prince will be with you all along this year to celebrate these extraordinary performance, these extraordinary records. And you mentioned 9th of August. We'll keep this date in mind, though we know that it's another international day, the 9th of August. But anyway, we will support you in this to pay the due recognition to late Professor Alote. So thank you all. Medase. I've been told that in Accra I should say, oh, you are done. Merci.
Thank you to Mr. Diallo. So up next, we have a very interesting movie we want to show you. But before we go into the movie, I just want to share the good news that Mr. Diallo did talk about. The launch of a toolkit by UNESCO. And I'm happy to announce that AIMS contributed immensely to that toolkit. As a matter of fact, we had 4 of our scientists, including the Chief Scientific Officer of AIMS, being a part of this publication. And I just want to talk about three of the publications briefly. So one of our researchers, Emmanuel Dufoc, wrote on how mathematical models, specifically deep learning, allow scientists to listen to the conversations of living things in the world, providing information that's vital for decision making, relevant to, for example, animal conservation. We also had our climate science research chair, Dr. Bambasila, also author an article on how mathematical models allow physical principles to be used to predict climate change and its impacts, and to inform mitigation and adaptation strategies. We also had our third scientist author an article on how mathematical models help scientists to predict the advent of tropical cyclones, thus saving lives. So we've had very impactful research, and we're excited that on this day we're also launching this with UNESCO. So please, let's give the scientists who are not here a round of applause. Okay, so can we cue the movie? Can we also have part of the lights off so people can actually see? We spent 2 years working with 3 scientists across Ghana, South Africa, and Ireland, following their journey, their scientific journey, and also very important to mention that these 3 scientists are 3 out of the over 2,500 scientists that AIMS has trained globally, right? With about close to 400 from Ghana. So we're going to watch the documentary, and I'll take a reflection from 2 or 3 people right after the documentary, and then we move on to the next item. Thank you. Enjoy.
We are at a stage in the evolution of humankind where we will rediscover science in Africa. As you know, mathematics was invented in Africa, along with so much else in music and art and literature. But unfortunately, Africa was overtaken by Europe in the Middle Ages. There was the Renaissance and the beginning of, let's say, modern scientific thinking with Galileo and people like that. And Africa was left out and then, of course, held back by colonialism. I believe now is the time to emerge from Africa's dark ages and for Africa to rediscover its own way of doing science and to take control of its own destiny.
Scientists in Africa, they have to understand that this is a time where we can't just do science for sciences. Our sciences need to be translated to help community, to make impact in the community. Back in DRC, when I was doing my undergrad, there was a course of logic of mathematics. So there was a professor from Belgium who was teaching that. He was explaining a lot of things. Himself, he was very excited on what he was teaching. Then I did ask him a question and say, okay, professor, everything, we do this thing, we do the demonstrations and mathematical logic, but what is the application of this? He just go to the corner on the windows, grab his beer, because the guy, he did have a long beer. And he say to me, I don't know. Then I say, okay, if you don't know, why are we doing all these things? Because I believe I'm here to learn so that I can help my community, my society with something, or I can use these things in some application that can help my community, my society. Then he said to me, I am doing this for my fun. It's for pleasure. That is also a challenge for African scientists. They always do science, teach, and so on. We don't see impact, we don't see the application of that, we don't see how the connection of what has been taught at school and what can be applied to the community.
Africa is largely a consumer rather than a producer, and we are almost importing everything. I believe that the knowledge of mathematical science will change the whole game for Africa. You will have more inventors, you will have technology which will grow faster and sustainable. So knowing the mathematical science, in my opinion, it shouldn't be an optional, it should be essential.
I see AIMS as the embodiment of mathematics that is trying to invade all aspects of science in Africa, with mathematics in terms of it training more youth, harnessing their talent, teaching them how to solve African issues by using African solutions developed by them to solve it, and which makes it interesting for me. As such, AIMS through the Next Einstein initiative is also able to acknowledge, and encourage people who've made an impact.
I was born in the east part of Democratic Republic of Congo, the town called Kisangani. My family was Catholics and went to the preschool, so in the family they want me to be a priest. I grew up questioning everything. in high school, I told to my parents that I want to be a musician. In the meantime, I was very good in math. I could not spend time to read mathematics, but it's come by itself. But also good in writing song and play guitar and all these things as well. So my mama said, no, my son, I want you to be a scientist.
When you look into literature, it tells you that Africa has about 198 scientists to a million people, which is quite few. And once we have funds, it means that more people will come into science. In my primary school days, I wanted to be an air hostess. But when we got into junior high schools and we were introduced to integrated science, I talked about these Newton laws. We do not know Newton, we haven't met Newton, but we mention his name, meaning that he's someone who has made an impact. I felt I also wanted to make an impact, whereby people do not know me, but they will mention my name.
I didn't choose science, actually. Science chose me. I want to be part of the solution. I want to make a difference. I want to make a significant contribution. My name is Hind Ali Ahmed. I'm originally from Sudan and I've been living in Ireland for the past 8 years. I came here in 2010 for a PhD program, which I completed in 2014 in Dublin Institute of Technology, School of Physics. And then I moved to Trinity College Dublin, Civil Engineering Department as a researcher and a lecturer in the Solar Energy Application Group. I always wanted to go for mechanical engineering because my brother Tayyip, he was doing mechanical engineering in the University of Khartoum, and I just wanted to be like him. We need more fund for research. If I don't have fund, how do I do research? You know, you can't just go to university and teach because you're basically teaching a history of science. But if you don't have the foundation, if you don't have the infrastructures, you know, for labs and all this, we don't have specific centers for science, you know. So if we don't have that, how would I go? I would just basically just get depressed and disappointed. I can't do research in this way, you know. So the government have to put more money into research. They have to allocate money for research in science, and they have to see the link between development and science. You know, without that, you just can't make that development. You can't get me back if I don't have the foundations. We have to motivate more African scientists to come back to teach, because without motivation they will not come back.
Being a woman scientist in Africa, actually, we have a lot of challenges. There's something called subconscious biasness. Even the person will not tell you that you are a woman, so there's something you cannot do, but in their mind and the way they will approach you without saying it, you can sense it, that they think you have a limitation because you are a woman. Once more women come in, we can encourage others to come in. For me, I think I had it easy because my father also loved science. And right now, it's my dad who takes my kids to school, even though I prepare them. He helps me pick them up when I'm busy. And my husband is also a physician, so he sort of knows what science is, you know. It's good when you get people like that, they understand you.
African science, we suffer a lot. I publish a paper, it's good, but they just is African. They deny your paper. they'll ask you, could you please join some others? Or whether they will say, okay, I don't feel the English is well in this paper, but I propose you to bring other people from US. They force you to have other cohort in your paper because they want to see some name there. That's mean they recognize the sciences. Through African Institute of Mathematics Sciences, that I got to know to solve actually my initial problem that I started since I was earlier, to understand it, that why we look different, why you choose this, why we cannot choose all of us the same things, why these differences, how we cannot predict our health like the way we predict the weather today. So then I come across that bioinformatics, computational biology can actually use mathematics within the genetic data that can actually answer the question, because all those differences is in your code of life, the DNA. When we take the data of a person, we tell him his genetic history, the person become more confident on what the colonialist told him. He will know who who is actually, and where he come from. One aspect is a psychology aspect. So the person become more confident on himself. For example, the South African color. When you tell him you are a mix of different ancestors, but you are unique in the world. There's no one in the world that have his chromosome or his DNA code. It's like a shape of different segments. So you have the whole worldwide ancestry in you. That means you can have more potentials. So you can do more. That can actually remove that complex of inferiority to some people.
The project I did in Singularity was about energy. My team has developed an online platform for energy, and from there I saw opportunity of solar energy as a potential solution for Africa, and that's how I get myself into this field. I just wanted to work in that research and make a significant impact through my research, which I'm very committed to, and I'm very positive that in the near future this might bring great solutions for the Energy Africa problems. This is a solar cell. It can absorb the sunlight, in physics terms, absorbing photons, and convert them directly to electricity. So the plasmonic luminescence is basically a combination of metananoparticles and luminescent in one layer, incorporated in polymer sheet. We can have them either as a thin layer, and that we call it downshifting layers. It will be just applied on the solar cell, something like that. So this is a downshifting layer, it's a plasmonic quantum dot downshifting layers. And we can have it either as a plasmonic solar concentrator. So the idea is you will have the solar cell attached to the edge of the sheet here, and when the solar radiation is being entered to the plate, it will be wave guided through total internal refraction, and it will be concentrated on the solar cell. So by doing that, you're basically using a small area of the solar cell, and you are reducing the cost of the solar cells and increasing the efficiency at the same time.
I was posted to a community in the Ashanti region, and I was a lab technician over there. So a woman came in, she was from one of the rural villages, she was pregnant, it was her first antenatal visit. So when we checked her parasitemia is whereby we check the number of malaria parasites you are infected with so that we can know your treatment to give you. So we checked, she had her parasitemia. So we gave her SP, which is sulfadoxine pyrimethamine, which is what is recommended for pregnant women because it has less side effects. So we went home. So the next morning when we came back, we were going to check to repeat the test. When I went, they told me that I went to the ward, they told me that she died. So actually I was a bit shocked. Yeah, because I know people die from malaria, but to have the direct impact, like someone I just engaged in and the person is gone, really dawned on me. So having that encounter with malaria, so it made me develop an interest in malaria immunology to know how immune system, works during malaria infections. If you can really research into this field and you can come up with new innovations that can lead to better treatment options, then it will give you the satisfaction because you know that the little you have done has directly impacted on their lives, and that is what actually research is about, to impact people's lives, to make their lives better. Almost everybody knows that our body helps us in fighting infections, but what most people do not know is that in order for our body to do that, it needs to learn to adapt to new pathogens or even to the old ones we have, which is evolving. And that is a very intricate process and quite complex. And in order for us to understand these things, that is why we apply mathematics in my work, in the sense of using something like quantitative methods, which uses mathematical models. Having that passion and then having the commitment that your science is going to solve an issue that you see an impact on the people around you, I think that makes the difference to be a scientist from Africa as compared to other sources. Because you know that no matter the challenges you face, once you have the passion for it and you have the motivation for it, you'll be able to overcome it. And once you've done that, people will also follow your footsteps. You know, so that we have more people coming into research because they know they'll have the impact. They know that even though challenges were there, others were able to overcome it, so why can't they also overcome it? Through agriculture, we can solve food security, you know. It can help us in conserving our conservation biology in terms of with climate change, and the rest in terms of disease outbreaks. Science can solve it. Science can help us know people who will be exposed to the disease, how people will respond to the infection, and how we can protect them or treat them.
When I heard about AIMS, it was is a center that recruit the best African, and they train them for problem solving in mathematics sciences. That's how I decided to move on. As also I was like, I say, okay, I need to be trained for problem solving. In Africa, we need to create a school of leadership. For example, AIMS will bring all the best students who are going to be the future leader tomorrow. For my opinion, why not to have a leadership courses at AIMS? AIMS got center here in South Africa, in Senegal, Cameroon, Ghana, Rwanda, and they're keeping increasing the number across the network. So why not a part of science is mathematics, which is good to know sciences, but if you are not being trained to be a leader, that will still be a huge problem. Leadership is about legacy. I'll give an example. If you go to France, for example, those who do mathematics, they have school. If you see a student, you can link the student, you come from this school, from this master. Even to Russia, great mathematicians, Kolmogorov and all those people, you will see their student who they are disciple, will say, you come from this school. But in Africa, we don't have that. We don't have that because our teacher, they did not have a kind of sense of leadership where they can pass legacy or create a kind of a disciple people can actually follow them, and we don't have that. That is in academy. In politics the same. My opinion again, in Africa we have great leaders like Lumumba, we had Mandela. They're known to be great leaders, but for me, where they fell, actually, they did not duplicate themselves.
When I first moved from Sudan to South Africa to join AIMS, that was in 2005. So all my thinking at that time, I'll just go get the diploma and maybe do a master studies and then come back, join the academic sector and all this. But then I think AIMS experience have just opened my eyes. I got to meet people from different places in Africa. I got to see the problems we have in common like Africans, and I just felt like there's a lot we can do together, and I felt like I have more things I can give away, and I'm capable to do many things, like not just get the degree and go back,
AIMS is the biggest driver of that Africa we want. That Africa we want is a 50-year plan or 50-year strategy. But within that 50-year plan, there's a 10-year implementation plan, which started from 2014. And one of the aspirations in the 10-year implementation plan, it talks about a skilled revolution. A skill of science and technology and IT skills. And I think AIMS is a driver of that
Small part of what AIMS is doing, for example, is reinventing the university. We have to get away from traditional styles of teaching, of rote learning, which has traumatized generations of young Africans, and instead move to more to styles of teaching which promote creativity and initiative rather than repetition of traditional forms of knowledge. Of necessity, AIMS had to be very economical. We had no money. Very international, because we couldn't pay lecturers. so we had to bring lecturers from overseas. But we made certain choices, which are all about quality. That for Africa, if we want to rekindle the flame of science in Africa, Only the best will do. So we don't need second-rate lecturers in Africa. We need the very best scientists in Africa to come.
What we always do is we call the riskless asset R0.
What is so impressive is the young African scientists who come to Ames have deep in their hearts a commitment to truth, integrity, the future of their people, the future of society. More or less by definition, the students who come to Ames are not so interested in personal wealth or power. So there were these wonderful young people, and then bringing all of them together from across Africa, you create this very special cultural environment where Muslims, Christians, Francophone, Anglophone, Arabic-speaking, Portuguese-speaking, all in this melting pot, became incredibly stimulated by this environment, all united by their interest in math, in the future, in science and technology. Suddenly they sort of discover themselves and discover their mission in life. I'll give an example. I met somebody from Rwanda. His name is Prosper. He, of course, in his childhood went through the genocide in Rwanda. He's from a very disadvantaged background. Came through a very modest academic system in Rwanda. There was no maths department in Rwanda until he graduated. He was one of the very first graduates in maths and physics. It took him 3 years to find a master's program because he kept getting turned down. Finally, he got into Ames, and he spoke only French. So he arrived at Cape Town. He was very shy. I met him then, and you wondered, can he actually do anything? So this guy, he learned English. He was one of the top students that year. Then he went to Johannesburg, did his master's in experimental physics. Totally new field. He never had a chance to do that in Rwanda. He again was one of the top students. After 2 years, he got his PhD in Holland. He was again one of the top PhD students in experimental physics in Holland, and now is a staff scientist at the Max Planck Institute in Germany, which is if not the leading, one of the leading institutes in the world. But you see this young guy in this world-leading role. And now you think, how many more are there like him?
Einstein. So on this note, I would like to invite the Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo, to give us the keynote address.
Thank you very much. The board chair and board members of Ames Ghana, UNESCO country representative Mr. Abdurrahman Diallo, the center president of Ames Ghana, Dr. Prince Osei, and the very first PhD student to graduate from the University of Ghana, the premier university of this country, the first PhD graduate in mathematics. In mathematics, very significant to note. The CEO of Ames Ghana, Ms. Adelaide Asante, the Secretary General of Ghana Commission of UNESCO, Mrs. Ama Nikwe Tete, representatives of partner universities of AIMS Ghana and renowned academics from UCC, from KNUST, and from University of Ghana. The Director General of IAPA in UCC, Dr. Michael Boachi Yadom, students, invited guests, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it is an exciting day, a very significant day to join the launch of the 10th anniversary of AIMS Ghana, as it coincides with a very important day, the International Day of Mathematics. I warmly convey the best wishes and compliments of His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and that of Dr. Yaw Sedutwum, the Minister for Education, who would have loved to be here to deliver this address in person, but is unable to do so due to other engagements which have occupied his attention out of Accra, and has asked that I deliver this address on his behalf. But before I go on to the speech, I would want to wish us all happy International Day of Mathematics. But it's interesting to note from the video, the documentary we watched, and taking the accounts of many renowned scientists and mathematicians, the storyline that science chose them, mathematics chose them. Indeed, that is what has accounted for the 198 scientists out of 1 million scientists in Africa. That is what has accounted for the fact that in our pre-tertiary institutions, particularly in our SHS, you find only 12% of the students enrolled doing science-related disciplines. It is not for any reason at all that this trend is happening. I, for one, as an example, as a science student who went on to become an engineer and later on taking up higher studies in economics, math occupying most part of my study, I didn't choose math. Math chose me. As a student, a young 14-year-old, having completed BEC in my village, my hand was held to Asen Manso SHS. And when the admission form was handed over, they took a look at my results and said, this result is brilliant, this guy must do science. But many other scientists who could have gone on to become the next Einsteins in Africa, unfortunately, science didn't choose them. And along the line in their study, opportunity was not created, a pathway was not created for them to get into science and math, and we lost those folks. But something can still be done. And for those who think that math is not exciting and math is abstract, math is tangible. Math is very critical. There's a lot of excitement in math. I've never regretted doing math. I've never regretted doing math. It is one of the most exciting courses that you can ever take. And come to think of it, it is the only subject, arguably, that you can score 100 over 100 more easily than any other. You can't get that in literature. You can't get 100 over 100 in sociology or history. It's subjective. But for math, and that was one of my motivations in taking all my math-related courses seriously at the university. We have, through science and math, to be able to change the narrative of Africa. Very interestingly, the complex challenges that stare us in the face as a country, as a continent, and as a world, the solutions to them, underpinning these solutions, is mathematics. If we have to take over 57% of people in the world out of darkness, mathematics and science will underpin the solution, definitely. And if we would have to challenge and resolve the matters of climate change, math must underpin the solution. If we all must be prepared, even in getting out of the woods of COVID-19, and even get ourselves resilient in anticipation of the unknown future of global pandemics, science and math would definitely be the solution. And that is why it is critical more than ever even to take math and the promotion of the study more seriously. Of course, I agree with the Center President in his advocacy that even in promoting the study of math and mathematical sciences beyond the International Day of Mathematics, in Ghana, a day must be set aside. It would be most fitting if it coincides with the birthday of the venerable and foremost mathematics scholar, Professor Alote. So we have the National Day of Mathematics. That is a conversation, advocacy still going on, and I'll be most delighted that this sees the light of day. Now back to the speech. It is a great pleasure to be part of this august gathering to celebrate this year's International Day of Mathematics. As a proud mathematician teacher, and speaking for the Minister for Education, Dr. Alcé Duchum, and Chief Advocate for STEM education in our dear nation, I'm honored to be called upon to launch the AIMS Ghana and the 10th anniversary celebration, which will be an opportunity to showcase the impact of the output of this institute in Ghana, Africa, and the world at large. As a teacher-in-chief, teaching mathematics for over 10 years in the United States, the celebration of International Day of Mathematics means a lot to me, as mathematics is the key foundational subject in education of every human being. Mathematics is the bedrock of the sciences and the arts. Mathematics permeates every facet of our lives. However, most often it has been made a subject of myth and abstracts in the eyes of the student we teach and in the eyes of the student who aspire to learn math. As we celebrate this day, it is a clarion call for us all to reflect on the importance of mathematics to our world today, especially as we recover from the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic. Let's also use the unique opportunity of today's celebration to create awareness of the role mathematics plays in achieving national and global goals, including sustainable development goals. In health, mathematics is used in medical imaging devices such as MRI, CT scan, which builds images out of numerical data through mathematical algorithms, decoding of the human genome, managing and controlling of pandemics. And it is exciting to submit that at the peak of COVID-19, it took some researchers and scholars of AIMS to be able to bring out a model that led the way for pool testing. Instead of having each sample tested, when labs were inundated with many samples, that pool sample was made possible through the effort of scholars at AIMS. Cryptography for safe and secure communication, which relies on number theory, precise weather forecasting, was a result of an improvement in atmospheric models and more robust algorithms. Ladies and gentlemen, and of course my own Director of Tertiary at the Ministry of Education and Technical Advisor to the Ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, over 7,100 different languages are spoken in the world. Permit me to ask, how many languages can an individual speak and write well? At the most 8, 10, for the most brilliant. Mathematics is a language. It is the only language spoken and written the same across the globe. For instance, 1 + 1 is 2, but for theologians, it can be 1. It is the same in Ghana, China, the US, UK, Russia, etc. Thus, basic education in mathematics is required, irrespective of the career path one chooses. This is because mathematics provides us with skills for everyday living. Logic enables us to make sound arguments. Market women in their trading activities use arithmetic. To be able to give you change that would not shortchange them, they must be good at math. Doctors and nurses use math to use ratio and proportion, even to determine the dosage of medicine required to treat an illness. Governments and policy makers also use mathematics to be the basis, even in establishing resource allocation equitably across various sectors and across various regions and districts in the country. So whatever your profession is, or educational background, or whatever you aspire to do, mathematics is a common language for us all. That is why this year's International Day of Mathematics is themed Mathematics Unite. Indeed, mathematics unite us in many ways in daily basis. Since COVID-19 pandemic emerged, the world has been speaking the same language and relying on the same information, and has since been making decisions based on math, based on data. We have a variety of subjects and languages. However, mathematics is the unifier language, a common language we all speak. Therefore, this year's theme, Mathematics Unite, is relevant as we seek to strengthen collaboration and partnership solving societal challenges using mathematics. Ladies and gentlemen, as you're aware, the government has prioritized and made significant investments in the education sector over the last 5 years, especially in the areas of STEM and TVET education. No country has ever developed without strong mathematical foundations and robust STEM mainstreaming. We have made great strides as a country, but our good days are not behind us. Our best days are rather ahead of us. That is why the Akufo-Addo-led government is making pragmatic and frantic efforts to boost the teaching and learning of STEM at all levels of education. The fourth industrial revolution requires creating a more robust education system to respond to the 21st century industrial needs. And the 2020 Education Commission report that was released indicates that if nothing changes, by the year 2030, 825 million young people will reach adulthood without the skills needed to thrive in today's world. So many access to education may be granted, but without the right foundations, you would have your education done, you graduate, but still lack the essential skills that will enable you to thrive and make a difference in today's world. And mathematics can never, ever be done away with so long as that foundation is concerned. Sadly, only about 12% of SHS students are enrolled in STEM-related fields in this country. This level of science enrollment will not in any way enable us to reach our strategic goal of 60% science and 40% humanity by the year 2030. Program strategies, pragmatic strategies with the creation of new pathways that will ensure that 12% participation in pre-tertiary can be translated into 60-40 science in favor of science at the tertiary. The Ministry of Education is championing a transformation agenda to provide opportunities for Ghanaian children to be equipped in disciplines such as artificial intelligence, robotics, coding, etc. This will be made possible by operationalizing 10 new STEM schools, which are boarding schools currently under construction across the country: Abomosu, Diaso, Kwasempe, Awaso, Akrodi, and many others. These boarding schools, which are going to be free and situated in state-of-the-art facilities in diverse communities, will attract children from all parts of the country. We are also constructing 35 STEM senior high schools across the country. One of these STEM schools will be situated at the AIMS Ghana campus, to be sited at Kpong Katamanso. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to announce that this new STEM school will be all-girls STEM school that will be under the mentorship of AIMS Ghana. This will pave way to give talented African females the opportunity to become the next Einstein. In addition, we are constructing 5 STEM-based universities in 5 new regions in Ghana. When completed, it will increase the intake of students in the fields that will drive industrialization in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, AIMS Ghana continues to make remarkable contributions to Ghana's education delivery through training talented mathematicians for research and industry. Remarkably, an institute like AIMS Ghana would leverage faculties worldwide to train mathematicians in Africa to lead in breakthroughs and key discoveries in Africa. I'm proud to emphasize that AIMS Ghana is leading the institution in Ghana to have trained, is a leading institution in Ghana to have trained over 400 students in mathematical sciences at the postgraduate levels in 10 years. The institute is also doing very well in the area of research. I have already discussed, as Minister for Education, discussed with the management of AIMS Ghana to develop doctoral college to train at least 50 PhD scholars in the next 5 years. So many more PhD scholars in math can be added to Dr. our center president. AIMS Ghana grew to the status of a UNESCO Category 2 Center of Excellence established in 2018 through a tripartite agreement between the government of Ghana, UNESCO, and AIMS Ghana. Happy 10th anniversary. The government has, in this regard, supported operations of AIMS Ghana and increased its funding to the institute. I must say that the prospects of AIMS Ghana are promising, and that is why the Ministry of Education is keen on providing the necessary funding and support, working with the institute to introduce new programs to meet Ghanaian educational needs that are competitive globally, both at the basic and tertiary levels. Distinguished guests, permit me to pay tribute to the late renowned mathematical physicist, Professor Francis Kofi Ampeng Alote, may his soul rest in peace, who realized the gap in STEM education in Ghana and beyond, and together with Professor Neil Turok, established with this vision, AIMS Ghana to bridge these gaps. I'm particularly delighted to see how AIMS Ghana has positioned itself over the past 10 years to train the next generation of professionals in mathematical sciences in Ghana and Africa. By investing our resources in the postgraduate training of teachers, we will ultimately be changing how mathematics is taught at the basic and senior levels. The quality of training given by AIMS Ghana is not only complementary, but transformational. We say Ayiko to the founders and the past and present leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to congratulate AIMS Ghana Board of Trustees, management staff, students, and researchers for their outstanding achievements over the decade. Working with the Institute over the past few years, I have realized the potential and how government can leverage the Institute to achieve its vision for the education sector. I'm honored to celebrate AIMS Ghana's 10 years of impact in Ghana, Africa, and the world. I must commend UNESCO for setting aside the 14th of March every year to celebrate this fundamental subject of our existence and day-to-day activities. I hereby, on this occasion and on this note, on behalf of Dr. Yaw Osei Educhum, declare the 10th anniversary of AIMS Ghana duly launched. Happy International Day of Mathematics. Long live AIMS Ghana. Long live the education of mathematics. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So we're gonna, okay. Since we have launched the anniversary celebration, we just want to show you in a few seconds our anniversary logo. So in case you see it anywhere. Excited, please give yourselves another round of applause. Okay, thank you. On this very energetic note, we are coming to the end of today's program, but I would want to invite my colleague, Mrs. Beatrice Kwau, to give us the vote of thanks, and then we will say goodbye to each of us.
The Deputy Minister of Education, the UNESCO representative, representatives from our partner universities, representatives from our donors and the other ministries, the President, AIMS Ghana. It is an honor to have been asked to give the vote of thanks on the occasion of the International Day of Mathematics and the launch of the AIMS Ghana at 10. On behalf of the leadership and AIMS Ghana and the management of AIMS Ghana in particular, I would like to thank the Honorable Minister of Education, represented by Dr. Fojo, Reverend Fojo, for coming to support us as usual. You've been very supportive, and we hope our subsequent programs you continue to give us the maximum support. I would also want to thank Mr. Diallo, the representative of the UNESCO, for always being there for us. He visited us recently at the center and shared insightful thoughts with us on the way forward. We thank you for your continued support. Ever since we became part of the Category 2 Centers of Excellence, you've been there, and we count on you for your continued support. We would also want to thank the Provost from KNUST, Professor Mekuji. We want to thank Professor Essel, one of the founding fathers of AIMS. He's now the Dean at UCC, in charge of School of Mathematical Sciences. We have the representative of University of Ghana Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sepa. We want to thank you for coming. We have Dr. Lucy Ejapon, representing the president of our Academic City College. We thank you for coming, madam, and thank Academic College for your continued support as well. We want to also acknowledge the presence of our Category 2 partner, and I'm talking about IEP. The Director General is here, Dr. Boachi Yadom. Thank you for coming. We feel very privileged to have you here. We also want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Eric Nkansa from the Ministry of Education and other ministry partners. Thank you for coming, Doc. Thank you for your support. In our president's presentation, he mentioned a number of partners, funding partners, and I'm happy to thank Ms. Kwame Diane from the MasterCard Foundation for coming. Thank you for your partnership as we continue in the phase 2 of this, your continued support. I also want to thank a member of the AIMS Ghana Board of Trustees, Ms. Amasewa Nekwitete, for coming representing the board. Thank you for coming, madam. We also want to thank the staff and students of the various senior high schools here, Accra High School, Accra Girls. We also have St. Thomas Aquinas Secondary School, and last but not the least, Accra Wesley Girls Secondary School. Thank you for coming, students and staff. And so we want to just take note that, remember, this year's theme is on Mathematics Unite. As we leave here, we want to thank every one of us, the management of AIMS, the staff, students, our guests, and for those we cannot acknowledge by individual names, thank you so much. But remember that mathematics unite, and regardless of one's background, mathematics is the only subject that has ideas and concepts that are always constant. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Beatrice. So we've come to the end of today's ceremony, but before we disperse, we'd like to take a group photograph. Can we roll this so we can... Okay, so we'd have our dignitaries stand here, and then we can... Oh yes, we'll find a way to move this. Joel, can I get support?